Okay, so I know it's been a while since I made a video, and the last two that I posted were of my two new wind tunnels that I just recently got. So this is the first one that I did the video on, I believe. Either way, this is a wind tunnel bagless twin chamber system. This was a Sears model, by the way, and I don't know if that was an exclusive emerald green color that they offered, but I know that it's a Sears model because when you looked at the outside of the box that this came in, and for those of you who didn't watch my previous video, this is a new old stock machine that I got. It said that it had a bonus extra free gift or something inside, and that was the air freshening tablet that said Sears on the outside of the little packet that it came in, which is right here in the side of the filter. That's where it goes. You can see the filter's relatively clean. It does have a little bit of fine dust. I don't know as if that's really dust or if it's just filter material. But either way, so far I really like this vacuum. It's probably the best bagless vacuum I've ever used. Up here on the slider switch, there's a lock and an unlock. So you just slide it to the unlock, and it raises this little holder here inside the vacuum. It's a little scratched from, I guess, me. I don't know how I managed to do that, but you can see it is still a little loose. It has some play in it. When you undo it, though, it just slides straight out. It does do a pretty good job containing the dirt. You can see the opening for the container is bigger than the gasket is, or this opening here, which is why there's an obvious line of dust where it comes into the vacuum. But otherwise, the chamber itself is actually clean, the bagless area. So it actually keeps a good seal with the dirt container. You have a pre-motor filter here, which is only accessible by undoing this screw. You also have your twin chamber system here. So they eventually did away with this design, and they came out with an easier design where you just pressed a button and this lid flipped up. But on these new, early models, they didn't have that. So I did run it just a couple of seconds ago because I did just put a new belt in it, a second belt, because the first one that I got started to make the machine smell like it was burning. It had been sitting stationary and stretched out, and it had developed like a I don't know, a hitch in the belt, so it would get caught on that and it would just spin, or the belt wouldn't spin at all. It would just start to melt because the motor was spinning on that one part of the belt. So there is a new belt inside of this that I put in a couple of weeks ago. Well, there was. And that one started to make the machine shake when it was sitting upright and just when you wanted to use the tools. So I had never used the tools on this machine up until a couple of minutes ago because it was just unbearably loud. You couldn't stand to listen to it. So I put another belt on it because I wrote to the seller. I had said to him, you know, the other wind tunnel that you sent me, that one, the brush roll isn't spinning at all. I said, I know that this isn't a new, or this is a new item, but they don't warranty these anymore or anything. I mean, it is still a vacuum. It is a collector's-ish item to me, but I still intended to use it. It was described as new. It should still perform as new. So he sent me new belts for it. He also sent me a new brush roll for it, which will not fit at that machine, but it will fit this one. So I put the new brush roll inside this vacuum, and I ordered new belts off of Amazon. I think it gave me like an 8-pack of belts, and I was worried because I was like, you know, this is pretty much the same belt that I just thought was, that I just bought from Kmart. And that belt wasn't specifically the correct model number, and it seemed a little small, but it fit on the vacuum with some stretching. So I was like, okay, and it spun the brush around, but it shook the vacuum. So I was like, okay, I'm going to order new belts for it, and I'm just not going to use the machine at all. But it could have actually been the brush roll. Maybe the bearings had been sitting for so long without being used for, 15 plus years. So it might have actually been sitting for 20 years. Who knows? When this specific machine was rolled off the floor. But I also had to order a new filter because the gaskets on the underneath of this filter here were so dry rotted and they stunk like vinegar, just like rotting rubber. And there's no dust buildup here on the inside. It looks like it, but that's actually just part of the manufacturing of this filter. There's no dust on the inside of this filter at all. So it actually filters pretty good, which is the reason why I said I don't think that fine dust on the outside of the filter is filtered or actually dirt dust, because I feel like I'd be able to see that here. I don't know how that would be able to pass through the filter, not collect there. It could just be carbon from the motor. So it actually does have pretty good filtration, but it is messy on the inside where it contains all the dirt, as you can see. When you dump the vacuum, it's supposed to also dump the fine dust too, and this does collect a lot of fine dust. But I really like the vacuum, all in all. I really do. Much better than the wind tunnel. The wind tunnel too. And I'll get to that hopefully today as well. But I'm going to have to let this one upload. This is a little much of a pain. There. So I got the filter top on, or the dust compartment top on. And my only complaint about this is there is a little gap where I just cannot get this to seat and stay. But it doesn't seem to affect the cleaning performance, and it doesn't seem to make it filter badly or anything like that. So, anyway, moving on. I'm not taking this clear plastic off. You have your height adjustments here on the main part of the vacuum. You've got your stretch hose. The suction out of the vacuum is okay. The airflow's obviously not as good because it's a bagless machine and it's a clean air machine. So it's not the greatest in the world. And their attachment door up here, I actually took this and put this on to really test the airflow. And I really think that these Hoover power air-driven tools are junk, because, and you can see the nice raised embossed wind tunnel logo on this. It's really cool. This is back when they actually cared about little details on the vacuum. It didn't spin very fast. It didn't seem to hesitate to spin. It just didn't spin at a super high speed like my Shark or and my Filter Queen can even spin the Shark turbo tool just as fast as my Shark can. So that's one of the reasons why I love my Filter Queen, but that's another video. Typical Hoover fashion on most of their uprights that were clean air machines, even into the Hoover series of the Fusions and the Max wind tunnels and the Mach 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 wind tunnels. They did these two extension wands and your crevice tool that also doubles as an additional extension to put your dusting brush on. And you can see that when you take the dusting brush off, there's that little opening there, which enables you to be able to use the dusting brush with the crevice tool attached to it, so you can actually get an even higher reach. I'm not a big fan of these Hoover upholstery tools with the plastic teeth. They're super cheap and they don't work very well. And I replaced the brush roll on this with a neon green wind tunnel brush. It had white bristles on it. And the bristles on that air-driven tool are neon green, so I was like, I'm just going to put this on here. And the brush roll is fine now. It doesn't shake. Everything's fixed on it. It's working great. it's like how it was supposed to be when I bought it. So I'm going to hopefully get my camera to stay up, and we'll do a little test run of this. And this is one of the Hoover machines that had the edge groomers on it. You can see the red edge groomers. That was back again when they used to do, you know, color contrast. This has emerald green, it has like a taupe color, it has the red side grooming bristles, it has the gold Hoover font and logos on it. And it has like a transparent filter door on the side. And when I first took a look at this machine, I was like, you know, this thing's not made very well, I didn't think. But when you actually pick it up, it's actually very solid. It's very well built. So I'll turn it on in the upright position. So, as to be expected with any new old stock machine, if you ever pick one up or happen to come across one or whatever, you should always be expected to have to replace anything that will deteriorate over time, or any of the wearable parts on it that, even though it is a new machine, over time the parts will wear on their own without even being used. That's just the way that they are. Anything made of any petrol product will deteriorate over time, dry rot, but also the bearings on the brush roll, I really think from sitting for so long, maybe they dried out. But when I took the plate off the second time, after having used it a couple of times, I had seen the fine dust and dirt that it collects. It just picks up a lot of fine dust and dirt. I think this was back when, even though this was an introduction, obviously not the first introduction for the wind tunnels, but it was the first wind tunnel bagless upright. That was back when the wind tunnel technology worked really well, and I did say in my last video that I think that the wind tunnel technology, at least this one, is archaic. It actually works much better than the Hoover React machine that I had. The Hoover React machine just did not pull up fine dust and dirt, and I have some machines that just don't do that. And I just figure, you know, oh, well, I did just vacuum a couple of days ago, must be that vacuum pulled it all up, blah, 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 blah. This one pulled up carpet powder that had been in the carpet for quite some time. And again, you know, any vacuum going after another vacuum will pull up something. But I was really pleased with the way that this worked. I want to say that I'll let my mother have this and use for herself, but at the same time, I don't really trust her because they are very hard on things. They don't take care of their stuff, so I don't want them to have this. And another thing that I just kind of wanted to point out was this speckled handle. It's not the same as the rest of the handle. It just has this silver accent piece right here on the top. And in the early Hoovers, it has this loose power switch. But everything works great on it. I mean, it's a really nice vacuum. And I'm really happy that I was able to get my hands on one of these because I was only a couple years old when these came out. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I always get back to people who comment. If I don't, then I had a notification issue on my phone, which has happened before. But and also, that handle matches the handle here on the chamber, or the dirt cup. But thank you for watching.